gray wolf versus chimpanzee. Who would win in a fight between the cousin of man's best friend and our primate relative? Well, watch to the end to find out, since this is gonna be a very interesting video. First up, we have the male chimpanzee. These beasts mainly roam in the rainforests, woodlands, and occasionally grasslands of Central and Western Africa. They are considered omnivorous, but generally stick to a vegetarian diet of fruits and vegetation. A male chimpanzee can weigh between 88 to 150 pounds and is around 4 feet tall when standing upright. When it comes to weapons, chimpanzees have a muscular and powerful upper body, with its strength said to be around 1.5 times greater than the average human, due to the high content of fast-twitch muscle fibers, which assists it in its daily activities of climbing and swinging in trees. Chimpanzees have long arms, which helps them move around efficiently when quadrupedal. They fight with their strong upper bodies by means of grappling, slapping, and pounding their opponents. So, they would have the initial reach advantage when fighting the wolf. They also have a pretty strong bite, which they utilize in fights, but they would have to get really close to the wolf in order for it to be effective, which would put the chimp in an unfavorable position. Chimpanzees have been known to use their surroundings as weapons, like throwing rocks and sticks, but those tactics are aimed to distract rather than severely injure. As for defense, chimpanzees have dense muscles, skin, and coarse hairs covering a good portion of its body. Because the chimp has skin and sparse hairs covering its body, it would be susceptible to sharp objects, like the wolf's sharp canine teeth. So, overall, it would not have a particularly good defense. As for speed, chimps are said to run up to 25 miles per hour in short bursts and are quite agile. However, since they have a high amount of fast twitch muscles, which helps them with short burst movements, they would not have very good stamina. So, if the fight prolongs between the wolf and the chimpanzee would be at a disadvantage. When it comes to fighting knowledge, chimpanzees live in extensive social groups. They fight with other members of their own species and defend against the occasional leopard. So, overall, it does not have a particularly good amount of fighting knowledge or experience. Alright, let's move on to the male gray wolf. These beasts mainly roam the tundras, woodlands, and grasslands of select parts of North America and Eurasia. Gray wolves are carnivorous and hunt medium to large ungulates like bison, moose, and deer. A typical gray wolf can weigh between 80 to 125 pounds, stands around 2.5 feet tall at the shoulder, and is between 4.5 to 6 feet long. So, the gray wolf and chimpanzee would be around the same weight, but the chimpanzee would be taller when standing upright, and the wolf would be longer. When it comes to weapons, the gray wolf has a large skull that measures between 9 to 12 inches long and 5 to 6 inches wide. It has an elongated snout that is filled with razor-sharp teeth, which the canine teeth can grow up to 2.5 inches long. Its teeth and skull are specifically adapted for its carnivorous diet and predatory way of life, unlike the chimpanzee. Also, since the wolf does have a longer snout than the chimpanzee, it would have a bite reach advantage, making it easier to bite its opponent. As for bite force, this topic is still up for debate, with some scientists claiming that they can bite with a force of 400 psi, while others say 600 psi, and others say that they can bite with a force of up to 1200 psi. However, if we take into account the bite force quotient, which is 136, the wolf being a predator, and the wolf's capability of chomping through a moose's femur in just a couple bites, I think it's safe to assume that the gray wolf would have a stronger bite force than the chimpanzee. Gray wolves also like to leap and jump on their opponents when fighting and hunting. By doing so, it allows them to add more force to their bite, along with knocking their opponent off balance. When it comes to defense, the gray wolf has thick, grayish-brown fur covering its body, which helps keeps it warm and dry. They also are longer, specifically quadrupedal, and have a lower center of gravity. So, in my opinion, I think the wolf would have a better defense than the chimpanzee. As for speed, gray wolves are said to run between 30 to 40 miles per hour in short bursts and are very agile. Neither the gray wolf nor chimp would have an advantage in agility, since they both perform rather well in that category. Along with being pretty nimble, wolves have a lot of stamina and endurance. One of the main ways wolves kill large prey like bison is by exhausting it over a long hunt until it runs out of energy to fight. So, the wolf would have superior stamina and endurance compared to the chimp, which is built for short burst attacks. When it comes to fighting knowledge, gray wolves fight with other members of their own species, take on bears in packs, and actively hunt deer and bison. So, I would say the gray wolf would have more fighting experience and knowledge compared to the chimp. Alright, we have our stats. So, who would win in a fight between a gray wolf and a chimpanzee? Let's say this battle takes place on an open field. I would say the gray wolf would win majority of the time due to its elongated skull filled with razor-sharp teeth that are specifically meant for a carnivorous way of life, making it easier for the wolf to bite the chimp with its really powerful bite strength, it having more stamina, making it have a really big advantage if the fight is prolonged, it having a better defense, and, due to it actively hunting prey and facing off against larger and more dangerous animals than the chimpanzee. Overall, I don't think the chimpanzee has the right weaponry to effectively kill the gray wolf majority of the time, while on the other hand, the gray wolf possesses a really powerful bite with sharp teeth that can cut through the chimp's skin and inflict deep wounds. Also, the fact that wolves like to lunge and bite at their opponents when fighting would be another advantage, since it would put the wolf out of the chimp's striking range.